Started. I know most of you have muted your microphones. That's very helpful. That doesn't mean that you can't ask questions or stop me once in a while. There are 27 of us right now, which I think is great. The more the merrier. This is the first time I've ever tried this, so I really appreciate those of you that are taking time out of your day. Maybe you're working right now or working from home or at an office. If not, we are recording right now. So hopefully we'll be able to post this later afterwards. So my plan today is, and I know I told you in my original email to you, I told you this would not be a presentation, more of a question and answer session, and it will be. But I do want to present you with some information. The hot topic, obviously, right now is the return to school, at least for our kindergarten and first graders, in a hybrid model. And I want to tell you right off the bat, there are no final decisions that have been made. This is still being worked on. We're going to rely on our school board is going to have some discussions, and maybe Orlando can talk about that toward the end of the meeting. And our teachers union are in discussion. So there are all kinds of discussions going on still. So when you hear these things from me, I don't want anybody to think, well, Mr. Long said we're doing it this way. I'm just going off a basic outline that has been provided for us as principals. This could all change. So I don't know exactly what the school day will look like. So some of you may want to know, okay, when my kindergartner returns to school in a hybrid model, what are those hours going to be? Well, we don't know that yet. That's still being worked on. And again, that's worked on at the district level. That's not school by school. So Scouters Mountain can't decide on their own hours. We're going to run it this way, whereas Kennedy down the road or Happy Valley Elementary are going to run it a different way. It's consistent across each elementary school. But what I wanted to do today is show you some general things that I know. And then I think this is a great forum to ask me questions or ask each other questions. But again, I want to emphasize nothing has been decided. Nothing is set in stone. Even that February 16th date that the district sent out earlier that I followed up on, that's a target date. It doesn't necessarily mean that it will happen on that particular day. So don't cancel all your daycare plans yet or rearrange daycare plans in anticipation of that February 16th date, because we don't know that for sure. That's just the target. We don't know if we'll hit that. There are lots of discussions right now about vaccinations and vaccinating staff members and how that will all work. So I'll go through my presentation, but please feel free to put questions in the chat. I'm happy to stop every so often and address things in the chat. And what I'd like to do toward the end today is I will unhook my second monitor here and I will walk you down the hallway. And we've set up one of our classrooms to make it look like what it would look like in a hybrid model. So if you're wondering, well, how far do kids have to sit apart and what will it look like in the room? Is there any other books or materials in there? We'll show you what we know so far and what it will look like. So I'll start off with my presentation up here. And as you can see right up here, this comes from, let me go to present here. This comes from the Oregon Department of Education. So these are things that I got right off of ODE's website. And of course, staff and student safety, that's going to be our top priority. No matter what we do at our school, we're going to have to take staff safety into account and of course, student safety into account. So that means things like staying 6 feet apart at all times, walking one way down the hallways, assigning restrooms to certain groups of people and monitoring how many people are in the restroom. Making sure that our health room is functioning, that we have a nurse available whenever possible. That's all going to be in place. And part of my job right now, and we have a team of staff members also figuring this out, is how we're going to enter the building, because obviously we're not going to all file in the front doors as we're used to doing for those of you that are returning to our school. We're going to have different entrances around the building and figure that out of where certain groups are coming in. For example, Miss Lawrence's cohort A will go in this door. Miss Neal's cohort A will go in this door. Miss Ireland's cohort A will go in this door, and cohort B and so on. The plan right now is that we'll have certain colors that will assign groups. So those kids know, oh yeah, I always go through the blue door when I come into the building. I always follow the blue arrows on the floor. So every group, we're working on that still. So it's still a work in progress. But as you can see by the slides, There's lots that we need to do to make sure everyone is safe within our school. So here's a snapshot of key updates that come. This is the document, and you have, this is available to you online as well. The newest version came out on the 19th of January. This is put out by the Oregon Department of Education, Ready School Safe Learners. So if you ever see the acronym RSSL, which you'll see quite a bit probably in correspondence, that's this document here. And it's long. There's a lot of guidelines for all of us to know, all of us in schools, especially principals and secretaries and office personnel to know that are in that document. So here are some key updates that I want to make sure Scouters Mountain families understand. The most recent change is that operating schools in person, so allowing kids to return to the building, is now a local decision. So North Clackamas School District can make that decision without any guidance or any mandate from the state. It used to be Governor Brown was in charge of that decision. It's now a local decision. It relies on implementing public health and safety protocols, which we're working on. And North Clackamas School District must follow the requirements outlined in this document and submit new blueprints when the instructional model changes, which is what we're doing now. So some of the key things that I want to show you, the advisory metrics, and maybe you've heard about this, maybe you haven't. We still use these metrics, but here's the key. They used to be mandatory. They are now advisory. So our district goes by the advice. Just a minute here. There's someone being admitted in. Oh, there we go. So we're taking these as now advisory. So in Clackamas County, it's right down here. I wrote it. It was, the state mandate was Clackamas County had to be under 100 cases for every 100,000 residents. That was what it was before January 19th. Now they have moved that number up and it's now advisory, less than 350 cases per 100,000 residents. The last update we got from our district office, Clackamas County was at 348. Well, guess what? That puts us under the 350, but just barely. So if we had any surge in the next couple of weeks and we got over this 350 mark, again, it's just advisory, but that would be something to think about. So we're right on the border of the advisory metrics to allow students to come back into the schools in an in-person model. So that's where we were. And let me show you here. So here's what it looks like. And I know this is maybe a little bit hard to see on my screen, but we are this top line. So all the schools in Clackamas County are up here where we have over 100,000 people. So you can see for us to be an elementary on-site and hybrid, that would be less than 300. So between 200 and 350. For those of you that have middle school students, that's right here. You can see right here, middle school and high school, we have to get under 200. Now, again, that's advisory. It's not required. And then for on-site, everybody in the district, that would be under 50. So this is the graph that has changed over time. In this orange column, it used to say under 100. Well, that's moved up to 350 because Governor Brown has come out and said that she would like to get kids back in school. So that's going to start with kindergarten and first graders. So right there is where we are. We're barely under it right now. We will monitor that. Again, what we've been told is if we start and hybrid model at school and all of a sudden the county goes back up above 350, we will continue with our hybrid model, but we cannot expand it. So if we're in K1 and the county goes up to 400, we can't move our hybrid model to second grade. We can't open it up to that until we're under that advisory 350. Well, hopefully that makes sense to you. I wanted to be sure and show you that. So cohorting, you know that I send home surveys and the district has sent home surveys. What does that mean? Cohorting, that my kid's now going to be in a different cohort. So that basically means we're splitting classrooms in half for the most part and making them different cohorts. Now, some of our families have decided that no matter what, they're going to remain in comprehensive distance learning. That's working for them. It works well for their family. The kids are doing fine. I think that's great. You can certainly do that. Some of our families have elected to stay in distance learning. For those that have put on their survey that they would be interested in coming back to school in a hybrid model, so we're going to divide them into small cohorts. So that's why we don't have the whole class coming back all at one time. We're not supposed to have multiple cohorts that exceed 100 people. within the educational week. With K1, we do not have over 100 people coming back in the building, total students. We're going to keep track of who it is. And it wants us to minimize the number of staff that interact with each cohort. So we may have one teacher and one instructional assistant who is assigned to that group of kids. I keep mentioning kindergartners, but so say Miss Lawrence's class will have Miss Lawrence and one other adult, and they will be in charge of that particular group of 14 students on Monday, Tuesday, and then the next group of 14 students who would come on Thursday, Friday, cohort A and cohort B. So how would that work? This is North Clackamas's slide that came out earlier, and I wanted to draw attention to this, and we may have questions about this, but I want to make sure people understand. And this is a current proposal. I want to tell you right now, nothing is set. This could definitely alter. We don't know if it's 8:30 to 1:30. It could be shorter than that. It could be longer. The start time could be different. The start time could be staggered. In a traditional school year, Scouters Mountain is a later start school, meaning many of our elementary schools start at 7:45, and the district buses come around and pick all those kids up and deliver them to school. Scouters Mountain is one of a few schools that started at 8:30, so the bus drivers had time to go pick up a new group of kids that included ours and bring them to school. That also meant that we get out later, and other schools got out earlier. I don't know what the hours are, so please don't write those down and think, oh, that's when my kid's going to school. That has not been finalized yet. But the thing that's interesting, and I want people to know, and I'll do my best to answer these questions, is right here where it says teacher assignments will likely change. And I'll explain that a little bit later as we move along. Why would my student who wants to come back in a hybrid model, why would they all of a sudden get a different teacher? Why can't they keep their same teacher? Or why is my student who is going to stay in CDL, why all of a sudden are they now receiving lessons from a different teacher when we've worked all year long to develop a relationship with our current teacher? I'll do my best to explain that. And as it says down here, cohort assignments are going to include about 12 to 15 students. Right now, based on our survey results, ours aren't quite that large. We have some that are at 12 or so. That would mean 24 students within a classroom decided that they would like to return in a hybrid model. But in some of our rooms, we had 18 families that said they would return. Well, that would be 2 cohorts of 9. So 9 students at a time in the classroom. So that's a ballpark figure. Cohort A would attend school on Monday, Tuesday. Cohort B would be Thursday, Friday, and then Wednesday for both groups. And then the other days of the week would be asynchronous things, kind of like what they do right now on Wednesdays or when they're not in school. Right now, our teachers are doing their best to figure out, okay, if I'm teaching live on Monday, Tuesday, and I'm also teaching live on Thursday, Friday, what am I going to do? How am I going to prepare lessons to keep kids busy on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and for these kids on Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday of the week? We're still trying to iron out all those details, but I want to make sure people understand that the current hybrid model means your child comes for a limited day on 2 days a week. So it's either Monday or Tuesday or Thursday or Friday. And you might be wondering, okay, how do we know if my student is in cohort A or cohort B? We're working on that. I will tell you there was not a lot of scientific analysis on how we did that. We kind of went down the list and divided them up A and B. I've had some families contact me as they've learned more about this and said, hey, can we please be on Thursday, Friday? It works much better for our schedule. I can't guarantee anything, but if that's an issue for you and you're worried about being on Monday, Tuesday when you don't have daycare on Thursday, Friday, please let us know and I will do my best to accommodate that.
All right, thanks. Well, happy Friday. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can. All right, bye, Dina. See ya.
Happy Friday. So I will do my best to accommodate that, but as of right now, just a minute, I need to admit another person. There we go. So we'll do our best to accommodate those, but we just don't know yet how many. We know how many in each one, but I have a feeling that some families are going to be changing their minds. And once they learn and maybe they see what it looks like, what the classroom looks like, and oh, I didn't realize that my kids are going to be home 3 days out of the week. We want to change back to CDL. You can certainly do that, and you can certainly change your mind the other way around. We said before that we wanted to stay in distance learning, but this hybrid model looks pretty cool to us. We'd like to move into that. We can certainly do that as well. So we'll have opportunities to share those things. So I mentioned cohorting. Here's what it looks like if you want to see what the staff and I have been working on. So these are actual numbers from our classroom. And notice I don't have names next to the classrooms. I don't have teacher names. And that's on purpose because we're looking at this district wide. For example, let's say that all 3 of our kindergarten teachers for some reason had medical conditions where they could not return to in-person learning. And that may happen at some schools. Certain teachers have some conditions where it just is not in their best interest health-wise for them to be back in the classroom. So right now we are not assigning names to these. We don't know. Will it be Miss Lawrence, Miss Neal, and Miss Myers? I hope so, but I just don't know that. We have not been told. HR is working on that, and that will be a district-wide decision where maybe one of our teachers is asked to teach at a different school because they didn't have enough teachers. So we don't know that for sure. So let's just say these are actual numbers though here. So in classroom A, 14 of our 19 kindergarten families selected the hybrid model. In classroom B, 13 of the 18 selected hybrid. And in classroom C, 12 of the 18 selected hybrid. So here's what we did. For classroom A, we took those 14 kids. We added 6 kids because we don't need 3 hybrid classrooms. We don't have enough students for that. So we took 6 kids out of classroom C, put them into classroom A. So those 6 kids now have a different teacher. That formed a class of 20 students. So we can now do 10 on Monday, Tuesday, and 10 on Thursday, Friday. And then we took classroom B and we took 6 students from classroom. We took these 6 more of these kids who wanted to be in hybrid. We put them into here. And so that now makes 13 plus 6, that gives classroom B 19 total students in a hybrid model because we took 6 of them and put them in here. And we took 6 of these and put them in here. So now they have 19. So on Monday, Tuesday, they're going to have 10 kids. And on Thursday, Friday, there would be 9 kids in that class. Now the remaining, as you can see, there are 5 kids who selected CDL here. There are 6 from here and there are 6 from here. Those 17 kids would be learning from home in CDL with, I'm guessing, and I don't know this for sure, one of these teachers, or we may be assigned a different teacher from a different school to teach those kids to remain at home in CDL. So that's what we're looking at. So as you can see, if we just took, if classroom A's teacher just kept her own kids, she would only have 7 kids on Monday, Tuesday, and 7 kids on Thursday, Friday. And we can't do that. That's not a use of our resources. We can't have classes that small. So that's what it looks like in kindergarten. And then in first grade, same thing. These are actual numbers, but I don't have Miss Ireland listed and I don't have, I don't know why it went forward. Let's go backwards. Let's see if I can get it to go backwards. There we go. I don't have Miss Ireland listed and I don't have Miss Hatchell listed because honestly, although it's difficult to understand, we don't know if they're going to be our teachers for sure. I sure hope they are, but we don't know. But as you can see, they're bigger numbers in first grade. 18 of our 28 kids in the first classroom selected hybrid. That means that that teacher would have 9 students on day 1, 9 students on day 2. Classroom B had 17 kids out of 27. So she would have 9 students on Monday, Tuesday, 8 students on Thursday, Friday. Those 20, so 10 kids here and 10 kids here, they selected to stay home in a CDL model. Those 20 kids would be learning from home in CDL. Now you notice here, there's no classroom C, so there's no extra teacher. So likely, let's just say, and I don't know this, let's say this was Miss Ireland's room, this was Miss Hatchell's room. These 20 kids remaining who wanted to stay home in CDL, where they're likely going to get a new teacher now that comes from a different school who needed to stay home maybe for medical reasons. So those 20 kids are going to get a different teacher for their CDL time. That's just the way it works out. So I want to make sure everyone understands what's kind of going on behind the scenes, and maybe that'll impact your decision, maybe not. I don't know when I can tell you, yes, classroom A is going to be Mrs. Hatchell, classroom B is going to be Miss Ireland. I don't know that yet. I know our human resources department has surveyed all of our staff and asked for their preferences and whether they have a medical condition that would keep them from coming back to the classroom safely. and they're compiling all that information, and they're supposed to get back to us as principals soon on what our staffing should look like. This is a sample schedule. This is the top part of it. Now notice there are no times. That's on purpose because we don't know what the times are yet. And there are going likely, and I'm saying from my standpoint, I really think some schools are going to start earlier than others and get out earlier than others, just like we do in a typical school year. But this is kind of the way it would go. Students would arrive, and we're working on a system at Scouters Mountain that keeps kids in their cohorts as they arrive, as buses arrive, and as parents drop off kids. They would then have a morning meeting. Now, will that be synchronous with the kids who are staying home online? Can we figure out a way to have the kids who are in the classroom live with the students who are at home? Can we do it at the same time? We hope so. We're going to try to figure out a way to do that where everyone in the class, whether you're in front of the teacher, well, 6 feet apart or 12 feet away or 18 feet away, and the kids at home will get the same morning meeting, but we don't know that for sure. Then we'll move into some English language arts. We do need to have some kind of movement break. So that means that whether we go outside, I would much rather, as the principal of this school, allow kids to go outside, but it's going to take a lot of training because we let our youngest kids go outside. And I know some of them are so excited to come back to school and play on our playground. They can. It's going to be our job as adults at school to make sure they're remaining 6 feet apart. And that would be a great thing. And I'll send home some reminders and videos to parents. Please go over with your kids that they need to stay apart from their friends, no matter how much they would love to play right next to them. We'll have to remove every other swing on the swing sets to make sure that they stay apart. Now, granted, are we going to be able to keep kids 6 feet apart at all times, kindergarten and first graders running around on the playground? Probably not, but we're going to do our very best to do that. That's part of our job. But the more we can train kids at home, and we'll go over it before they go out to the playground, if we use the playground. Now, some other schools have talked about having a movement break within the classroom. From my standpoint, and this is just me personally, I think the kids are going to be spending enough time in that classroom in their own little bubble that we'd love to be able to get them outside and get them some fresh air and be able to run around a little bit. But you can see as they move down, there's math, there's lunch. I don't know how lunch is going to work yet. We're working out the details. Are they going to eat in the classroom? Are they going to eat in the cafeteria? We don't know. We're working out those details because obviously if you put them in the cafeteria, they have to be spaced out a certain amount. And I would guess that probably one, maybe two cohorts, so maybe both kindergarten groups could eat in the cafeteria at the same time. I think we have enough space where we would space them out and we'd put X's or squares or dots on the chairs or on the benches of where they sit. But we're still working through those details. And then, of course, we'd have more academics and then a departure, which we will also have to figure out because cohorts will likely need to depart out of different doors. Obviously, like a typical school day at Scouters Mountain, all of our kids funnel out those front doors and off they go to their families or to the buses. We can't do that. So we're going to have to rethink that. It may be some kind of staggered 2 or 3 minutes apart where different rooms are coming out. We're still figuring all of that out. So that's cohort A and B. Here is cohort B. It's the same thing, but this is cohort A who comes on Monday, Tuesday. This is cohort B who comes on Thursday, Friday. It's the same thing. As you can see here, Wednesday is still a day without in-person learning. So that's a day that kids would be home. I get a chance to meet with teachers for meetings and do some staff development, things that we've learned, some technology tricks. Hey, you might want to try this in your classroom. That's what Wednesdays are for. So for those of you that are wondering what really happens on Wednesdays, teachers are pretty busy on Wednesdays. A lot of time, much to their chagrin, they're listening to me run a meeting with them when they'd much rather be planning in their classroom or working with their colleagues. But there are certain things I need to go over that are district mandates and things that we need to review. So that's a lot of times what we're doing on Monday. So that's kind of cohort A and cohort B. But I can't stress enough, none of this is a final decision. These are just rough drafts, if you want to call them that. We don't know what the times will be. We do know, it sounds like from all indications, we are going with a cohort A and a cohort B model. So I think Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday, it does look like we're sticking with that. We don't know how lunch will work. We don't know the times of any of those things, but that's where we're at right now. So all health and safety protocols named in this document. RSSL is Ready School Safe Learners. You can find that online. You could Google the Oregon Department of Education, look up Ready School Safe Learners. You can see all the 91 pages of guidelines that we need to follow. We, of course, will need some time to train all of our staff. We're going to take time when students return to train them. Here's what it looks like. If you need to use the restroom, here's how it will look. Here's where you will follow this arrow along the wall or along the floor. We're going to have to do a lot of training. And we do that anyway at the beginning of a school year, even if we weren't in a hybrid model. If we were all here, that very first recess or within the first couple of recesses of the school year, we have kids line up under the covered area and we talk to them about what the rules are on the playground so everyone gets the same message. So we would be doing that anyway. But we also, we're going to have to be very strict on screening. Now, entry screening, from what I've been told, we will not be taking temperatures of kids upon entry into the building. Our job as non-health professionals is to do a visual screening. Of course, if a kid is saying, I don't feel very well, we're going to take that seriously. But if a kid is showing any symptoms of a fever, maybe they're pale, eyes are watery, anything like that, kids do have to wear a face covering at all times. There are no exceptions to that. Face coverings, unless you had any kind of medical reason that you could not wear a face covering. Otherwise, that will happen. I think this is going to be the key thing for our school and all schools is physical distancing. We really have to do our very best, and that's where I need help from parents at home to really talk through that. I know you're excited to see your friends and you want to go over and give them a big hug. We still just are not allowed to do that. You do need to remain 6 feet apart at all times, and that's how rooms are set up as well. Cohorting, I talked to you about how we're doing that. And then frequent hand washing. We have sanitizer stations at every entrance. And of course, we'll be using the sinks in the classroom for hand washing. Kids are required to wash their hands upon entry to the building. And that would include if they left for recess and came back in. And they're required to wash their hands upon exiting the building as well. And I'm sure our teachers will be doing that quite often during the school day. So that will be part of it as well. So as I mentioned, every kid in a classroom, now imagine this, our classrooms are only so big, and I'm going to show you what a classroom looks like a little bit later on. Every kid needs 35 square feet. So that's basically 6 feet in all directions when they sit down in the classroom. So when they sit at their desk, there is not a kid that is, oh, what in the world happened here? There we go. Okay, there is not a kid who is 6 feet, within 6 feet of them in all directions. So it's not like they can lean over and visit with a friend or partner work with somebody with a friend. They have to be 6 feet apart at all times. That goes for our teachers as well. They cannot walk right up to a student and say, help them with a problem. They have to remain distant from them. We're trying to wrap our heads around how that's going to look if the teacher can't go near the students as well. Standing in line, and we know during a typical school year, standing in line is not our kindergarten and first graders. They're not the best at that, of staying in line and standing in line. Now we're going to have marks on the floor where they have to stand, and it'll be 6 feet behind. And especially as we move down the hallway, we have to stay the same distance apart. So it's going to take some work. We're certainly up to the challenge, but we're going to have to train kids on that. Transportation, there will be bus transportation. And it does not matter if you're in our attendance area and within our bus transportation area, you do have access to transportation. I thought initially, and other principals thought, that we would make cohorts based on where you live. So everyone in the Jackson Hills area would be cohort A, and everyone, say, across the way from us, well, they'd be walkers, so they wouldn't get a bus, but maybe they would be cohort B. But it doesn't. It's going to be like any other school year where the buses will go all over our neighborhoods. So they may be picking up some kids in your neighborhood for Monday, Tuesday, and other kids for Thursday, Friday. And our bus drivers likely are going to have, so it's saying right here, dress warmly, because we'll likely have windows open to circulate air. So we want to make sure that there's going to be separating on the bus. So obviously we can't take a full bus load of 60 kids. And that's something we're going to have to work through. One thing that I keep forgetting as I go through these, and sometimes I get extremely nervous or anxious, but I forget that, we're only going to have, when we roll this out, and that's a big when, or if, we won't have more than 50 or so kids in the building at one time. So that's 50 kids maximum, because some of them will be brought by families on a bus. So that's 50 kids accessing our bus routes. So they will be able to be spread out on the bus, probably every other seat. So we'll keep close eyes on that. And it will be the bus driver who will also be visually checking kids and making sure they have a mask on at all times. So that would be another thing to train your student. You do have to keep your mask on at all times. We just learned the other day that we can allow for an area in a classroom that is, I think it's like 15 feet away, but I have to look up, but it's certainly away from all of the kids. If there's a child that's really having a hard time with their mask and they just need a break from having their mask on, we can have a face covering break area where a kid can take some time to just have their mask off for a few minutes and then return. But anytime they're within their classroom among their peers, they need to have that mask on. So that's my presentation right now. I hope I've covered everything. I'd love to take some time now to answer questions, or I could disconnect here. Why don't I stop sharing so I can see all of you? Let's see if this works. So stop share. There we go. Now I can see all of you. Thanks for keeping your mics muted. And I don't know if we have anything in the chat yet. It doesn't look like it. And what I would like to do while all of you are here is I will put my computer on battery power. And how about we take a trip down the hall to one of our classrooms, and I can show you what it would look like for those of you that have chosen the hybrid model, what the classroom looks like. So I will do that, and then we'll answer questions from there. So I'm going to get up in my office.
Mr. Long,
Yes,
nothing came through on the chat, but I'll continue to monitor. Although something just came through now.
Okay. Okay, let me sit back down. I love it. Okay, so let me get to it. We originally said we would be staying at home, but are we allowed to change our minds now? You absolutely are. Just please let our office know, because obviously, just like in any school year, we need to have accurate counts on our cohorts. So if you change your mind one way or the other, please let our office know so we can accommodate that. But let me walk down the hall, and this will be kind of fun. If your kids are at home, this might be a good chance if they want to take a look at what the school looks like, if they miss it or haven't seen it in a while. So I'm walking down. I apologize for the vertigo, but we're going to walk down the hallway. Oops, just a second. I'm breaking my own rule and I forgot my mask. So hang on just a second. Let me put my mask on as I walk down the hallway. Okay, so we're going to come out here. So I'm coming out of my office. Here is our, let's see if we can see him on screen. There's our secretaries. There's Mrs. E and Mrs. Zach. Mrs. Martinez is here, who's working very hard rearranging classrooms. Very thankful for them. I see Finnegan on screen. Hi, Finnegan. Hi, Ava. Hi, Aaron. And oh, that's one of our graduates there on screen. Looking good. Okay, so I am walking down the hallway. So for those of you that have never been to our school before, there's the main entrance right here. So for those of you that are in kindergarten and first grade, the main entrance is right there. You would take a right and go this way. Now, it may be different this year because we're going to have different entrances for kids, but we're going to go down the hallway. Hi, Brooklyn. I see you on screen now, too. Awesome. I see Hudson. Excellent. Okay, we're walking down. So you will come toward the media center. Kindergarten is to the right. The classrooms are down here. I'm telling parents this, but I'm sorry, parents, you're not allowed in the building, as I hope you understand. But in a typical school year, you could walk your child down here. Uh-oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. We're going to take a left down here. So this is one of our classrooms that we have set up. So I want you to look at, let me see if it's locked. Okay, I got to get my keys out. And I'll give you a look inside how we've set it up. So this is what a hybrid classroom would look like. Okay, let me get the lights on. Okay, can everybody see okay as I move around? Okay, I'm going to move the camera around. So I can't see you right now, but I'm going to kind of tour around. So at the front of the room, notice how we've set up desks. Every child would have one child per desk, and that's how they're spaced out. So you can see We've got some area over here that kind of looks down this way toward the sink where they can fill up their water bottles. By the way, all drinking fountains will be bagged off. They cannot use drinking fountains. They can use the tap water where we'll be washing our hands. But as you can see, every child sits at their own single desk. Our teacher would be up front, 6 feet away at all times. So one child would sit here, have the sunshine shining on them. So they're right here at this desk. We move down 6 feet. This child is here. We move down 6 feet. This child is here, and so on throughout the back. So you can see, though, not a lot of interaction among kids. Obviously, we can't do any kind of partner work or group work. We cannot come to the carpet and share things at the carpet. Obviously, we can't sit together at the carpet in small groups. All of these things back here, I know this looks very cool and lots of things to do. All of these cubbies back here, they need to be covered with fabric that is flame retardant, because we're not allowed to share materials. Kids will be bringing their own materials and then bringing them back each day. So in their backpack. We have not heard yet about Chromebooks. If you're bringing your Chromebook back and forth to school, I don't know that answer yet. I hope not. I would much rather have Chromebooks here at school that we don't need to worry about going back and forth, and that would help kids keep engaged at their desks. So that's what it kind of looks like right now. I'm just going to go up here. Is there anything else that people want to see as I turn it back to me? I'm going to come down here. And that's what a typical classroom will look like. Now, again, most things have to be, I'm by myself in a room and with the door closed, so I can have my mask off. So that's what a typical room will look like, kindergarten or first grade. One of our kindergarten teachers was talking about if she were teaching distance learning, she may just put her kindergartners, put an X on the floor, and that's where they would sit and do their work. So they could be on their bellies or on their bottoms and at least be able to rotate around, because our youngest kids, they're not used to sitting at a desk at all times. And I do have to tell you that that is what they will be doing. They have to stay at their seat 6 feet apart from other people at all times with their mask on, getting instruction. And I can tell you that our teachers are a little nervous about, I know they can do it, but how do they keep kids excited about school when there isn't a lot of movement in the room? They have to stay at their seats. We'll probably be doing a lot of go noodles and things on the screen to get some movement going on, but that's going to be the key, is staying 6 feet apart at all times and remaining safe in our building as we do that. So any questions at all as I sit in this classroom? It's fun to see all the kids on screen and all the parents. Hopefully this gives you a good indication of what things are happening. And I know I've said this before, and I can't stress this enough. Nothing is final yet. Even that February 16th date, please do not set that on your calendar and circle the date. That's just a target. We don't know. And the reason that date was chosen is because that's just about the end of the grading quarter. So we would be starting a new grading quarter shortly after that. That's the end of the grading quarter across the levels, elementary, middle school, and high school. So that would be a good target date. Again, our school board has a lot of discussions, and they are going to weigh in on what their recommendations are. Teachers, of course, have their recommendations. So there's lots still to be decided. Even that schedule, I hope you didn't take screenshots of it or anything. We don't know if that's the official, it's not the official schedule. We don't know what this schedule will look like officially, but I did want to give you a sense of what's happening at school, what a typical room would look like, what we're thinking. At our school at Scouters, we don't even have single desks. You may have noticed those are double desks, and we stole those from upstairs out of the 4th and 5th grade rooms, and we're going to have to lower them because they're kind of too high. But
excuse me, Mr. Long, couple questions in the chat, just
awesome.
FYI.
Okay, let's go to those. So if it gets to the point where multiple grades are back in person, will siblings be assigned to the same cohort so they are on the same weekly schedule? Great question, Julia, and the answer is yes. In fact, we've already been looking at that because we do have some kindergarten and first graders who are siblings. So yes, you would be in the same cohort. That is one thing we for sure need to do, is make sure families aren't split across the week. On the off days, will the kids be doing morning meeting as they are doing now? That is the plan. We just don't know if they're going to be doing it with the same teacher, because remember, kids on CDL, oh, I see what you're saying. So kids who are in cohort A on Thursday, Friday, are they going to do morning meeting as they're doing now? I hope so. That's something that we're advocating for. So if you're in cohort A and you've been to school in person on Monday, Tuesday, and then Thursday, Friday, do you still get to participate online in the classroom morning meeting? I hope so. We are figuring out a way that we can record that and show that to everyone at one time. We have to make sure we have the technology to do that, to like stream it to kids who aren't there in person. Great question. We're hoping for that. Melissa, if you are in the hybrid model, how much time can we expect the kids to be online watching pre-recorded lessons? Also, will those lessons only be from their teacher, or will grade level teachers be teaming up to create lessons for all kids? Awesome question. So how much time can we expect the kids to be online watching pre-recorded lessons? In the hybrid model, remember, our teachers are live Monday, Tuesday, and then they're live again on Thursday, Friday. So that's a sticking point right now in trying to figure out if I'm a kindergarten teacher and I've got to teach a group live Monday, Tuesday, and I've got to teach them live Thursday, Friday, I got to carve out some time to create some recorded lessons for all of my kids. So yes, I do think it will be a lot of online watching pre-recorded lessons when you are not at school in the hybrid model. And will they only be from their teacher, or will grade level teachers be teaming up? We have had a lot of discussion, especially among Scouter staff, of teaming up together. Hey, I'll do the reading for all kids. I'll do the math and you do the science and social studies. So it may be a combination, which I think would be better because those are familiar faces. I know our third grade currently teaches in kind of a team model. I know Miss Hatchell, Miss Ireland do some team things where kids log into a first grade, one of them, and it's the whole group of them. So yes, we are thinking about how can we best team up teachers together. So great question. Kimmy, will there be in-person PE, health, music, library time? I don't know that answer for sure. In order to do that, we would have to have kids stay in their cohort. So Mr. Harrison would have to host a small group of 9 students in the gym. But then again, that exposes Mr. Harrison to every kid in the building. So that's a dilemma right now. So I don't know. It has not been decided whether PE, health, music, library, etc. will be in person, or will it be kind of the model we have now where there are recorded lessons that kids can access after school. So I don't know that yet. Will the kids be able to bring their own lunch and water bottles? The answer is yes. The problem is refilling those water bottles. They're going to have to use the tap water out of the classroom sink because there are no drinking fountains. And unfortunately, Scouters does not have, and it's something that we could look toward getting in the future. We don't have any of those fancy water bottle filling stations in a hallway like some other elementary schools do. I know we've looked into that. They're kind of expensive. So as of now, yes, you can bring your own lunch. And yes, you can fill up your water bottle, but it would be at the classroom sink, which in all honesty is the same water that's coming out of the drinking fountain that's attached to the classroom sink. So how much notice will we get once in-person is approved and to when the transition happens? So whether that's February 16th, March 16th, April 16th, we will let families know, the district will let families know. And then obviously teachers are going to need some time to prepare. They're going to need some time to set up their classroom. All we've done is put the desks in their room. They're going to want to arrange things the way they want them. They're going to have to prepare for live lessons, which honestly they haven't taught we're coming up on a year since they've taught live lessons. So that's something that the school district will determine how many days that will be. I don't want to guess here, but I would say if a final date is set in stone, we are starting on this particular day. I would say it would probably be around a week. I don't know that for sure. It could be 2 days, could be 5 days before we will actually start. And I would guess, and this is Mr. Long guessing, that will be kind of like a spring break type situation where there will be no lessons because our teachers obviously will be taking time to set up their classrooms, and there won't be CDL lessons for those kids who have selected the hybrid because our teachers will be too busy. When will the next update be? Good question, Jamie. As soon as I get them from the district office, I do my best to pass them along to you as long as I'm allowed to do that. And Our district office does a good job of sending out those updates as well. I know that we do have a school board member who is a parent at our school who happens to be in on this meeting. So he will be involved in discussions with the school board, who will take recommendations from the superintendent. And it could be the school board who says, okay, we feel comfortable under these circumstances starting on this date. And then that message will be sent out to families. But again, our superintendent said it will not be before February 16th. That's a target date. So it won't be before then. It could be on February 16th. It could be a month later. We just don't know yet. So we're still having those discussions. Since it's not mandatory to follow the state guidelines for returning back to school, if the numbers exceed the state recommendation, what's the deciding factor going to be in order for students to go back to school in the hybrid model? Great question, Mohammed asked. And again, I believe that is up to our school board to make those decisions. So they will decide if it gets to a certain level. We have just been advised from ODE that if it gets above that 350, you may continue with what you have started, but you may not expand your current model. So if we started at K1 and things were going well, but those recommended guidelines went above the 350 cases per 100,000, we would no longer be allowed to offer it to second grade yet until it went back below that. But that's, again, something our school board and our superintendent will work really hard at making sure that we have all the information, and they will help guide us on that. Will buses drop kids off at daycare locations? That's Hope. I don't know that. That's a great question. I don't want to speak for transportation. I know that they're figuring out routes in a typical school year. If that daycare was in our attendance area, they would drop off at that location. I don't know if we have a lot of daycare locations in our attendance area. If you remember last year, we had a special bus for our daycare kids. They had to wait a little bit longer after school, and then they had a special bus that went to their daycare. I don't know how that's going to work this year. So I don't have an answer to that question, unfortunately. How will I know if my kid is in hybrid model? Because I had survey changed. Okay, so I'm thinking that you're asking, I changed my mind from CDL to hybrid. Let the office know. They will put it on our master spreadsheet that we have. And then I will be, once we get the go ahead from the school district, I will be sending out information to every family saying, hey, guess what? You are in cohort A. Here is your teacher. Here's the date we're starting. If you hear of your neighbors that are starting to get those emails and you still haven't got one yet, and you think, wait a minute, I know I signed up for that, please let us know immediately so I can make sure we have cohorts with accurate numbers in them. Because obviously our cohorts can only get so big. So let's say we start out in first grade and we have cohorts of 9. As you can see in this room, if I turned it around, we have room for about 14 kids total. So if all of a sudden 7 more kids said, oh, wait, we want to come to hybrid now, we don't have capacity anymore. So that would be a case like we've had in the past where classrooms, we've reached our capacity. Those families would be offered an opportunity to do hybrid at a different school that had capacity within their classrooms. So if we get to a point where we simply do not have room anymore in our classrooms following the 6 feet guidelines, we'd have to inform you that, sorry, we've reached our capacity in first grade, but we do have an opening at nearby school X. So good question. Let's see. I know some teachers at Westland that are going to be live streaming what they do in the classroom for those students at home. So there's more interaction when students are at home. It seems with the new hybrid model, there will be less live interaction for students. It sure seems that way right now. We're working on ways that we can somehow bring kids in who are at home to the lessons live in class. But I can honestly tell you some of our teachers have shared that concern. That is less live teaching in a hybrid model than it is in a CDL model. Because you remember, you were with your teacher for 2 days a week, and then for those other 3, you were at home doing recorded lessons, okay? And it looks like Orlando has put up a link in the chat. That would be a good thing to take down because the school board, that's the dates, and you're more than welcome to attend school board sessions and listen to the work. I don't know if they're taking comments or not, but you could listen in and hear what they're thinking.
Excuse me, Mr. Long. Yeah, I put the link on there, so if anyone's interested in attending they're live when we have our board meetings, and also we could take comments there through that link. So we always appreciate feedback and comments from all our parents and everyone in our community. So that's the link.
Excellent. I've reached the end of the chat, but feel free to, since we're at the end of the chat, unmute yourself if you would like to and ask a question on behalf of everyone. That's fine too. I love hearing your voices. It's so much fun to see live parent faces and live kid faces on here. We missed that. I see Liliana there. Hi, Liliana. I see you there. It's great to see all of these families and real people on the screen. So if you have any other questions, feel free to unmute yourself and fire away. Nothing? Anyone want to play a game, play some bingo, or do some trivia? I don't get this much interaction with this many adults every day, so it's fun for me. So again, what I would emphasize is we're taking safety obviously very important here. We're taking all precautions. And again, I know I've said this several times, but these are all preliminary. Nothing has been finalized. These are just thoughts that are on the table right now. We're trying to figure out where we go from here. It could very well be that Monday, ODE puts out an entirely new addendum to their 91-page document, and we have to rethink things. We just don't know yet. The decision is going to be up to our school board and our superintendent to work together along with our teachers. Obviously, they have a union and they have their thoughts on this as well and what they would like to see. So it's a long process that we're still trying to figure out. Hi, Owen. I see you on there too. Looking good, bud. Any other questions at all? Otherwise, feel free to contact the office if what you've seen today changes your mind or you're thinking about changing your mind from what you put on that survey. Notify the office. That's not a big deal. We have a spreadsheet that just lets us know who's in hybrid and who's in CDL. And again, I'm waiting as anxiously as you are to find out what our staffing will actually be at our school. I'm hoping it will be our current teachers. So all of these students who have built strong relationships online with their current teacher, those will remain. But as you can see from our kindergarten example, if you have 3 teachers and we only need 2 in-person sessions, well, obviously some kids are going to have to move then to a different teacher. We're going to try to minimize that as best we can, but we just don't know yet. That's up. Human Resources is working on that giant puzzle right now, and we should be able to find out about that more, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And then I will continue to update you. I hope you aren't annoyed. I know that I flood your inbox a lot of times, but I would rather be over communicative than under. So I want to give you as much information as possible. So hopefully this is helpful. It's great seeing all of you. Thanks for joining in today. If you want to stick around afterwards and ask a question personally, I'll hang around for a little bit. Thanks to Orlando for sharing his Zoom room with me because I don't have one. We use a Google platform. And if I want to do one of these, say once a month, I was planning maybe the 3rd Friday of every month. I hope this platform works for everyone. It seems to work pretty well. As long as Orlando will let us use his room again until maybe the PTA buys me a Zoom subscription or something. I don't know, but we'll use Orlando's from here on for a while. So I see a lot of thank yous. I'm glad this was informative. If there's one thing I could say is please do not circle any dates on your calendar. Please, I would not start talking to your kids. Hey, guess what? You're going back to school on this day and you're going to have so much fun playing on the playground with your friends. Unfortunately, it's just not quite that. Remember, we're going to have to be masked up and stay 6 feet apart, even in the classroom, 6 feet apart from the teacher and from each other. I think the bonus is, yes, you're going to be in the school. Yes, you get a look at what school will be like. You get to see your teacher live, but there are a lot of limitations for that you just have to, and it would be very helpful if you prepare your student for that ahead of time. For those kids that think, oh, this is going to be great, I can't wait to play gaga ball with my friends out on the playground and swing on the swings. And we're just going to have to do our best and limit kids with that. We'll continue to do assemblies once a month online. We can't put that many kids in the gym, obviously. So we'll continue to move along. But if you have any ideas or things that you would like to see us do to help keep your kids engaged in activities, I know the PTA, who I'm very thankful for, who helped support this event. We have some things in the works, so maybe some family bingo nights or some family trivia nights. And I know our dinner nights out and our lunches out have been pretty successful. That's the one thing I love so much about the Scouters Mountain community is we work together and we care about each other. And a lot of our parents realize that, yes, my son or my daughter goes to that school, but also my neighbor's son and daughter goes there, or the people I go to church with, they go there. And we have a great support across the board from our parents who really consider us, we're a whole community, a whole family here at Scouters. It's not just your child only. We're here to support everyone here. So thanks so much for being here. I'll stick around for a little bit if you want to hang around. Otherwise, have a great rest of your Friday, and I'll go. I know there's some kids who are anxious to see, hey, Mr. Long, where are the morning messages? They're not up yet. I know I had to record. I had to be in a meeting this morning, and I'll go record them. I'll get those up as soon as I can. Thanks everyone for being here. Again, I'll hang around for a few minutes if you want to stick around. Bye, kids. Hey, Brooklyn's little sister. Oh, I got to stop recording too. How do we do that?
Bye.
Bye-bye. Great to see you. Oh, here it is. Okay.